So thank you all for being here today. Today is February 23rd, 2026, and this is a hearing of the Boston Parks and Recreation Commission. I will open the hearing and start the introductions. My name is Kathy Baker Eclipse. I'm the interim commissioner for the Parks Department, and I will allow the associate commissioners to introduce themselves.
Good morning, Gene Bollinger from South End Neighborhood.
Good morning, William Epperson, Jamaica Plain.
Good morning, Sandra Couts, Roslindale.
And I think that is the four of us that we have so far. Um, I'll allow staff to introduce themselves. Carrie, do you want to go first?
Carrie Marsh Dixon, Executive Secretary, Parks Commission.
Jennifer Mashazek, Interim External Affairs Director.
Kate Othheimer, I'm the Senior Planner.
Jill Zick, I'm the Interim Chief Landscape Architect.
Megan Toll, Special Assistant to the Parks Commissioner.
Thank you. So we have a few items on our agenda today. The first item, I'm just going to read the first sentence, and then allow us to discuss it a little bit. Or Carrie, I think, have Kate go into the presentation, give a little bit of the background, and then we'll read the full vote into the record. Does that sound like a reasonable plan?
Sure.
Okay. So the first item on the agenda is a vote for the Parks and Recreation Commission on behalf of the City of Boston for community preservation purposes of providing a park, recreation, and public access and natural resource conservation to grant a perpetual conservation restriction on a parcel of land to the trustees of reservations. And this is the parcel of land known as the Eggleston Square Peace Garden at 3131 Washington Street in the Eggleston Square neighborhood. So Kate, do you have a couple of things to present about this?
Yes. One moment. Let me pull up the presentation. All right. Can everyone see this slide deck?
Yeah.
Good. So this is a, can you see the next slide? Okay.
Yes. We can see
it. Good. So this is mostly, well, it is entirely an administrative matter.
I'm sorry, Kate, can you hold on? It looks like we lost our transcriber and she's just coming back into the room. If you could just
Okay.
hold on, please.
No problem.
Sorry about that. I literally just lost internet right when you were. I haven't got anything. I don't know. Magna may be recording it. I can probably get it from them.
Okay. Were you on the call when the information about this vote was read?
No, I was not.
Okay.
I literally went out at like 9:59.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Did you get the introductions from all of the members that are here?
I did not. But again, I can check with Magna. I believe they record it. So I can get it from them and piece it back together.
Okay. I don't think they do, but we can get you the list of everyone that's on. As far as the vote itself, Kathy, do you want me to summarize?
Sure. Why don't we go ahead? We were on the first vote, and so we were going to do a summary, the presentation, and then read the vote into the record, the full vote into the record.
This is regarding a parcel of land located at 3131 Washington Street in Roxbury. It's a park known as the Eggleston Square Peace Garden, which was acquired by the Parks Department with the approval of the Parks Commission previously. This is a vote to enable the granting of a perpetual conservation restriction of the parcel to the trustees of reservations. And so back to you, Commissioner Baker Eclipse.
So Kate Othheimer is going to give a little bit of the background for the record and for the commissioners. Kate?
Thank you. Yeah, Carrie has covered most of the gist of it, but just a little bit of a refresher. So the Eggleston Square Peace Garden is located in the Roxbury Jamaica Plain line in Eggleston Square. It was acquired by the Parks Department in 2024. It previously had been developed into a community space, but was after that being used as an advertising site by a private owner and was privately owned, and the public access to that site had been sort of taken away or not. It wasn't publicly accessible really anymore. So the community had previously applied for a CPA grant, but wasn't successful in acquiring that due to sort of the private ownership issue. And shortly after that, the private owner placed the property up for sale, and the Parks Department determined that it was a priority for acquisition due to this strong community desire to return the open space that had previously been there, and due to the benefits it would have for heat and climate mitigation. And so in 2024, the Parks Commission authorized to purchase the parcel, and the Parks Department used Community Preservation Act funding from the Boston Open Space Acquisition Fund. And that is why we're here again today, because even though we voted to purchase this property already, one of the terms of CPA funding is that a conservation restriction has to be placed on a parcel that's acquired with that funding. Park staff has been working with the trustees of reservations, who is the organization that will hold the conservation restriction, and with the State Division of Conservation Services, who administer the conservation restriction program, to prepare the conservation restriction. And we've worked to get a draft that is acceptable to all parties involved. And it's been approved by the state for finalization and signatures. But in order to execute the conservation restriction, the Parks Commission also needs to vote to authorize granting SCR. In previous acquisitions, this has been done at the same time as the vote to authorize the acquisition. But in this instance, it wasn't. So that is why it's on the agenda today.
Thank you, Kate. Any questions from any of the commissioners?
Kathy, no questions, but I'd like to repeat my appreciation and commendation to the community. This is an excellent example of the community coming together and government doing what it is supposed to do. It took a very long time for this to happen, but it did in fact happen. And I just want to thank everybody in the community and everyone at the Parks Department who actually contributed to this effort. I'm in very strong support.
Thank you, William. Any other comments or questions from commissioners? Any comments or questions from the public? I'm not seeing any. Carrie, could you read the vote language into the record?
Sure. This is a vote that the Parks and Recreation Commission, on behalf of the City of Boston, for the community preservation purposes of providing a park, recreation, public access, and natural resource conservation, having purchased the following described parcel of land with funding from the Community Preservation Fund appropriated for the acquisition of open space and parkland by the City Council, hereby grants perpetual conservation restriction in said parcel of land to the trustees of reservations in accordance with Section 3 of Chapter 185 of the Acts of 1875, reservations in accordance with Section, and Mass General Law, Chapter 44B, Section 12A, and Master General Law, Chapter 184, Sections 31 through 33, having found this grant to be in the public interest, and authorizes the Commissioner of the Parks and Recreation Department to enter into all agreements and documents and to execute any and all instruments as may be necessary to effect said perpetual conservation restriction. This parcel of land is located at 3131 Washington Street in the Roxbury neighborhood, a park known as the Eggleston Square Peace Garden, consisting of 5,497 square feet, 0.13 acres, of open land identified in the records of the Assessing Department as parcel 1101328000 and bounded and described according to a plan of the survey titled Plan of Land 3131 Washington Street, Boston, Mass., prepared for City of Boston Parks and Recreation Department and made by Feldman Geospatial, Boston Headquarters, 152 Hampden Street, Boston, Mass. 02119, Joseph R. Zambuto, PLA, license number MA52783, date of certification May 26, 2023. For grantor's title, see the Suffolk County Registry of Deeds, Book 70333, page 209.
Thank you, Carrie. Can I have a motion to vote
So moved.
and a second?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor, please say aye.
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 All opposed, say nay. Any abstentions, please state your abstention. And with that, the motion is passed. Thank you very much. Kate, on to the next step. All right, so the next item on the agenda is a discussion of the fees for the golf course. We will have a presentation by Megan Toll in the Parks Department about the fees for the golf courses, and then a vote to approve the proposed 2026 rates for tee times and season passes. Megan, do you want to share your screen?
Let me share it right now. Okay. Can everyone see that? Hold on.
Yeah.
Loading. Okay. Can everyone see that now?
Still says loading for
It
me.
is loading.
There
Oh,
we go.
Here we go.
perfect. Sorry, I think my internet's also running a bit slow with the storm. Yeah, so today I'm going to be talking about the proposed rate increases for 2026 tee times and pass holders. So I'll jump right into it. Okay, so quickly, I'm just going to go through what the current rates are for 2025. These have been the rates that have been in place since 2023. So currently for residents for weekdays, it runs from $30 to $46 for 9 versus 18 holes. Senior residents, it's $25 to $40 for weekdays, also 9, 18 holes. Junior residents is $13 to $15. And then for non-residents for weekdays, 9 to 18 holes, it's $35 to $55. 30 to 45 for senior non-residents, and 15 to 18 for junior non-residents. Then for weekends, same breakdown with 9 holes versus 18. It's 35 to 55 for adult residents, 28 to 45 for senior residents, and 15 to 18 for junior residents. And then for non-residents, it's 40 to 62. Senior non-residents, 37 to 57, and junior non-residents, 15 to 18. And then for our season pass holders, so these are the people that are able to purchase season passes, which give you priority booking. So you're able to book ahead of when the regular tee times are released. So for the resident season pass, it's currently $1,700. For the senior resident season pass, it is $1,400. Junior resident season pass, it's $300. Non-resident season pass, it's $2,500. Senior non-resident season pass is $1,800, and junior non-resident season pass is $500. And then for our proposed new rates for the 2026 season, we are proposing no increase to resident tee time rates. but increasing the non-resident rates. So for non-residents, we are proposing that it would be $40 for 9 holes on the weekday, 61 for 18 holes. So that's an increase of $5 for 9, $7 for 18. For senior non-resident weekday, we're proposing 32 to 48. So that's an increase of $2 for both. And for junior non-resident, we're proposing a $2 increase for weekdays. So 17 to $20 would be the new rate. And then for weekend for non-resident, it would be 45 to 70. And that's a $5 and an $8 increase for weekend, 9 holes versus 18. For senior non-residents, it's 39 and 60, which again is another $2 increase. And then for junior non-residents, it's 17 and 20. So again, $2 increase. And then for the pass holders, again, we're proposing no increase for residents in their pass holder rates. For non-residents, we're proposing a $250 increase for both non-resident and senior non-resident season passes. So that would be $2,750. And then for senior non-resident, it would be $2,050 for the season pass, and then no increase for the junior non-resident season pass. And that is what I have. So thank you.
Thank you, Megan. Could you explain the process for assessing these fees, or the study that was done to determine whether these fees needed to be increased, and what other municipalities were charging?
Yeah, so for this work, what I did is that we looked at other municipal courses, and then other golf courses in Massachusetts around us, but with a focus on municipal because we want to be comparable to them. And what we found is that about every single year, if not every other year, other municipal courses are increasing their rates to be at the market rate, and also with inflation rates. We just want to make sure that we're remaining comparable. We want to make sure that we continue the investment into the courses, and with rising costs to maintenance and any other work, construction that needs to happen at George Wright and William Devine, based off of what other courses were proposing for their increases. We just wanted to, again, make sure that we were comparable. The other thing that we wanted to really keep in mind is ensuring that resident access is, prioritized. So ensuring that, Boston residents are able to utilize the golf courses in every which way possible, while making sure that the difference between resident rates and non-resident rates were also comparable to other municipal courses. So we found that, in the past, the resident versus non-resident rates that we had set were very, very small in terms of the difference, and other courses had a much larger difference in the rates set with resident versus non-resident. So again, we just wanted to make sure that we were prioritizing residents and their access while ensuring that we're comparable with other courses.
And can you speak a little bit to the business model of the golf courses?
Yes. So the money that is made by the golf courses, so with tee times, with the season passes, with the pro shops, and also functions that happen, all of the money that is made by the golf courses stays in the golf courses. So that goes towards maintenance, it goes towards upkeep, larger projects that need to be done to the clubhouse, to tee boxes, as well as salaries. So we also want to make sure that with the rising costs that we're seeing, across the city and, just in general, that money that we make from the golf courses, again, just stays within the golf courses, and that we're able to continuously provide, the level of service and the, beauty that is our golf courses, because they really are, gems to the city. And, everyone loves being out there, whether they're actually playing golf or just walking through. But we just want to make sure that, we're able to keep up the level of service and the quality of the courses with all the rising costs.
Or sledding.
Or sledding, yes.
That's
Ice
sledding.
skating this past weekend at Franklin Park.
Yeah. I'm not sure all of the commissioners are aware that the golf courses are consistently rated among the highest municipal courses in the country. They're really outstanding. The investment that has been made over the past 20 years, continuing to make incremental but significant improvements in the golf course quality. They were both designed by Donald Ross. I think that's right. Pretty well known golf course architect. So they're really unique in the city, and the one at Franklin Park set among this Olmstedian landscape is just stunning. Any questions from the commissioners?
Kathy, I have a quick question. Just curious, Megan, do you have a handle on the usage, number of rounds per year of residents versus non-residents? So we're raising the fees for non-residents, which seems to make all the sense in the world. But I'm just curious if that puts anything at risk, and if so, what's the percentage of non-residents that make use of the golf course?
Yeah, I can find those numbers, but just off the top of my head through the work that I did with Scott Allen as well, who oversees George Wright and all the golf courses. We did, I would say, around 20,000 to 30,000 rounds of golf.
I think it's usually past couple of years have been closer to 50.
Yeah, so 30 to 50 is usually where it falls depending on the weather. And the breakdown really is that, for residents versus non-residents, there is a lot more usage by residents versus non-residents, notable difference. But, we still see a lot of non-residents, especially senior non-residents and adult non-residents, using both courses, both George Wright and Franklin Park. This year, it seemed that Franklin Park actually had more non-resident usage than George Wright did, with around, for 18 holes, for example, for adult non-residents, it was around 3,000 rounds, and then 2,000 for seniors, but more towards 3,000. Versus residents at Franklin Park, we had around 4,000 rounds for 18 holes, and 6,000 for senior residents. And then at George Wright, you saw, again, a lot more resident usage. So for senior residents, there was around 8,000 rounds of golf played. And then for adult residents, there were around 5,000 rounds, versus for non-residents, it was around 2,000 for both adult non-residents and senior non-residents. But we are seeing a lot more usage by residents than we are seeing non-residents.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, of course.
Any other questions from commissioners?
I was curious, do we have a particular capital need that we're trying to fundraise for, or is this just a matter of trying to keep up with rising costs?
So I don't know if Kathy, if you want to speak to it.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so a lot of it does just have to do with the rising costs of just general maintenance. There are a lot of capital projects that are happening, particularly at George Wright. There's huge projects underway to really kind of revitalize the clubhouse spaces, as well as, in the upcoming year or two, we're going to have to do a full replacement of the irrigation systems, which is going to cost, a lot of money. And we already have, funds set aside for that work, obviously, but then as well as to upkeep, again, just the general maintenance of the courses and the clubhouse spaces. That was the real driver of this project.
Okay, thanks.
Mhm.
Commissioner Ballinger, did you have another question?
Yeah, at the risk of sounding a little bit immodest, I do have some knowledge in this area, and I can note additionally that the cost of materials and equipment that's required to maintain golf courses absolutely skyrocketed in the last couple of years. And I would also add that for non-residents, these are very attractive golf courses because of what the commissioner was making reference to. The quality of the maintenance is extremely high. The superintendents are really, really strong at each of the individual golf courses. And those fees that were identified, even the increased fees, are a relative bargain. to the municipal golf, the typical municipal golf player who's playing a muni or a private course that's available for public use. So I certainly fully endorse the rate increases. It seems to make a lot of sense.
Thank you. Megan, could you just speak to one final point about the pass holders and the percentage of residents versus non-residents?
Yes, let me find those numbers. I have the breakdown.
So the pass holders are given priority access to like they get access to the tee times. They open up like a day earlier than it does for the general public. And that is an unlimited access to that benefit. And it's a guaranteed stream of income for the golf courses, which can be attractive if there are, this is a variable product that is subject to the whims of weather. So that guaranteed stream of income helps diversify the income streams.
Yeah, so the breakdown for pass holders for resident versus non-resident, we have around 40% resident, so adult resident pass holders, and 44% senior resident pass holders versus non-resident. It drops off a lot, so it's 6% for adult non-resident pass holders and 8% for non-resident senior pass holders. And then for the junior pass holders, we have a very, very small percentage. It's about like 0.3% for both resident and non-resident juniors.
I think it's one each.
Yeah.
Resident.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Any other questions? All right. Any questions from the general public? You can raise your hand. And we can unmute you. Okay, I am not seeing any. I'm going to try to read. I can read this into the record, or Carrie, if you want to read this into the record, the vote.
Sure. This is a vote to approve the proposed 2026 rates for tee times and season passes for George Wright Golf Course in Hyde Park and William E. Devine Golf Course in Franklin Park, which is located in the neighborhoods of Roxbury, Dorchester, Mattapan, and Jamaica Plain.
Is there a motion to vote?
Yeah, motion to vote.
And a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. So all in favor of this vote, please state aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Any abstentions, please state your abstention. Okay, so the motion is passed. Thank you very much. Thank you, Megan. And tell Scott the good news. Thank you. So moving on to other business, we have Jen Michalczyk here to give a brief presentation on the 2025 annual report of the Boston Parks and Recreation Department.
Thank you, Kathy. How's everyone doing today? Are you able to see my screen?
Not yet.
Yeah.
Okay. Now I can see it. Thank you.
Awesome. I'm proud to share the incredible work our team's accomplished over the years. This is the 2025 annual report. So I apologize on that typo, but we'll just move along with, this is just a brief overview of, again, all the amazing work that the department has done in the past year. We do have this version online. Carrie has shared this, I believe, with everyone. And if you would like a hard copy, we'd be happy to mail you a hard copy. Please just let either myself or Carrie know, and we'll make sure to get one in the mail to you. Over the past year, we had capital improvements, it was a transformative year. This year, the construction at 14 park sites citywide, we made improvements in every neighborhood, 9 ribbon cuttings, 30 community meetings supporting upcoming capital projects, a great year of land acquisitions, transfer, and expanding Boston open space network. The Urban Forestry Division was growing Boston's canopy. This past year, we continued implementation of the Urban Forest Plan, expanded Boston's tree canopy, and strengthened daily forestry operations, made strategic investments in staffing, equipment, data systems, public programming, and we deepened. The urban forestry has grown so much in this past year, and they had a lot of work that they had put in. Our maintenance division, in 2025, our maintenance staff turned all 85, and this is a major milestone for us last year, turned on all 85 splash pads across the city at the same time. We're fully operational and working. So we were super proud of that last year. They received 7,108 new 311 cases. They closed or completed 6,980 cases, demonstrating a very strong responsiveness. Our maintenance team continues to provide reliable, high-impact services that residents see and feel every day. The horticulture division is a beauty at scale. The team includes 15 greenhouse staff, 6 public garden staff, 2 Kelleher Rose Garden staff, produced 20,000 finished plants by late spring at Franklin Park greenhouses. They maintain and enhanced high visibility gardens and floral displays across the city. The recreational division expanding access and participation. The participation numbers in REACH, we had 638 total events hosted, 11,799 plus participants served citywide. We had 9,800 residents engaged in fitness and wellness programs and 800 plus hours of free virtual and in-person classes. Our major youth and league impacts, our Mayor's Cup program, 4,873 youth served, increased from 2024. We had 355 games, matches, and races held. 1,500 plus youth participated in our winter ice hockey across 9 different rinks throughout the city. Our seasonal and community programming, hundreds of neighborhoods, clinics, leagues, and tournaments, free summer sports centers at 5 different locations, launched our Forever Young program supporting active aging for older adults that continued year long. So at first it was just one season, and we were excited that we were able to expand for the year. We had continued strong partnerships, expanding recreational access. Our Boston Park Rangers delivered 51 community programs, tours, bird walks, nature hikes. They supported daily education and visitation at the Nature Center at Jamaica Pond. They led multi-agency response to the avian flu. They contributed to 100 plus special events managing safety, traffic, and crowd control. Their impact, the Rangers served as Boston's trusted goodwill ambassadors, blending public safety, environment stewardship, and community outreach. Our External Affairs Department, activating parks year-round. 33,000 plus attendees at free parks events. Signature seasonal festivities included the Children's Winterfest, Frog Pond opening, Halloween Festival, our holiday tree lighting, and the Tree for Boston. Our summer programming, concerts, movies, arts, workshops, cultural, and special events. We issued 70 plus press releases and managed hundreds of media inquiries. Our animal care and control, 1,000 plus animals cared for in the Rosendale shelter. 60% of our dogs reunited with their owners. 143 surgeries performed, including spade, neuter, and medical procedures. 600 plus pounds of pet food distributed, and 935 free low-cost rabies vaccines provided across 10 neighborhoods. Our permitting unit, we had 5,535 total permits issued, 1,885 special events, 135 weddings, 3,480 plus sporting events, and we supported major event drawing 100,000 plus attendees. We managed thousands of calls and emails with a strong customer service focus and strengthened partnerships to coordinate field access during construction. Our cemetery division had 485 burials overseen, 132 at Mount Hope, 327 at Fairview, 26 at Evergreen, and 250 plus veteran headstones were cleaned with wreaths across America. We restored the historic route of ironing fences at Mount Hope. 120 plus trees were planted, 100 at active cemeteries, 20 at our historical grounds. and ongoing tree pruning and removal across all of our cemeteries. Our human resources, we had 13 employees promoted, supporting internal advancement and retention, 162 new hires, 43 full-time, 114 seasonal, and 3 interns. 104 labor service positions upgraded following compensation review and benchmarks. 16 employees completed management and workforce readiness training. And a few celebrations that we had in our department. 6 retirees were honored. Services ranging from 11 to 41 years. 134 combined years of service dedicated to Parks and Rec. Service milestones celebrated. We had 1 employee for 40 years, 6 employees for 30, 5 employees for 20, and 4 employees for 10 years. Our vending program partnered with Roundhouse Brewing Company to launch a traveling beer garden in Boston Parks. We opened Flower Bakery and Cafe on Boston Common through a competitive RFP process, advanced the Boston Common Master Plan by reactivating the concession pavilion, and Footprints of Boston free arts and culture programming. And I want to thank you today for listening for our overview of the 2025 annual report. Again, we have this available virtually, but if you would like a hard copy, we'll be happy to mail one to you. Please just let myself or Carrie Marsh know. Thank you.
Thank you, Jen. If there's any questions on that, happy to take any questions.
I went through that fairly quickly.
A lot of numbers in there.
A lot of numbers, a lot of information. I did just want to highlight, some of the great work that the department's been doing over the past 2025 year. And we do have a more breakdown of each department within our annual report.
Yeah, and I think that one of the things that struck me looking at all that is like, and we're doing it all again this year. It's going to be
awesome.
Even more this year. So the work continues.
To that point, Kathy, and congratulations, all great and terrific work. So thank you to all the staff that work so hard on a daily basis. What are the prospects for the next fiscal year? Can you give maybe the highest level overview of where we sit in the budget process and what things are maybe looking like from an operational and a capital projects perspective without holding me hard and fast?
It's a great question. The budget for FY27, which starts this July, is still in process. The mayor will be announcing it usually in April, and then it goes to city council. Goes to city council hearings in April and May and June into June. We expect to see some fiscal some constricting in both operating and capital budgets, but we don't have final numbers yet. So those are still work in progress. But like all the departments across the city, some of the challenges with the property taxes are creating some challenges. But we are expecting to see a lot of tourism this season. So trying to do the best with what we can and prepare as much as we can for that. Prepare now and implement in the summer.
Is there any risk that the asks that you've put forward are reduced even further than the initial directive? And I guess where I'm going with this, is it ever appropriate for associate commissioners to speak in support of the requests of the Parks Department and the budget process?
That is a great question. I don't know that I know the answer to either of those. The budget is still in development. They're looking at the budget office is looking across all departments and trying to weigh how to provide basic city services at a very high level for all city departments, sticking to the core of what the city does. There are always wild cards like blizzards and some extreme weather events that we have to deal with, which throw out challenges. And I don't know the answer about advocacy. That's a good question, and I'm happy to have some conversation.
Well, I think in terms of the fact that the Parks Department's budget is just a tiny percentage of the overall city budget, and I think we all learned during COVID and the years following the COVID epidemic that parks really are an essential service. And, I think it's incumbent upon people that care about parks and open space to advocate and to make sure that they continue to get their fair share of a really difficult budget conversation this year and probably in the next few years. So just a couple of observations, and thanks very much.
Thank you.
If I may, I'll just let you know that we do present the budget to the Parks Commission annually. I'm just not sure where that will happen. That's up to Interim Commissioner Baker Eclipse, and that would be a point, at least one point, where the commissioners could provide their comments on it. But we'll figure that out, and obviously you'll see it on an agenda in the upcoming spring at some point.
Thank you.
All right, any other? Frank, yes? Make a comment?
Yeah, hi. Yeah, thanks, Kathy. Yeah, good morning, everybody. Frank O'Brien here. Very briefly, great report, very useful. I did want to talk to the commission briefly about one element that was shown on the report, and also say hello to my friend Jordan from Councilman Weber's office. Good to see you, Jordan. So one of the slides had to do with the urban forestry plan, which is really fantastic. It was a great plan that was put together a couple of years ago. And one of the elements of the plan had a bunch of recommendations. If you haven't seen it, it's well worth reading. It really had two related recommendations that were relevant to some of us out here. And one was to institute a tree ordinance. And then as part of the ordinance to introduce a tree board, which that was what was called in the plan. And the tree ordinance was passed with then Councilman Arroyo's leadership, and a number of us worked with Reverend Mariama on the composition of the tree board, which actually became an advisory board. And the advisory board's been in place for about maybe a year and a half at this point, and they haven't yet made any actual advice. They're directed to give advice to the commissioner, and I totally appreciate Kath's incredibly busy. But this is a venue for those of us who care about the parks to participate in deliberations and work together to make things better. And when I talked to some of the representatives on the tree advisory board, they really hadn't even been onboarded. They hadn't been given the history. They didn't know their role. They weren't
Frank,
aware.
can I interrupt you? Is this a question about the annual report, which was the item that we were discussing?
Yeah, exactly. It really does tie in. Thank you for that. So one of the provisions of the tree board, the advisory.
You're talking about you're not talking about the annual report, which is the item that we're discussing here.
Yeah, I'm going. Well, one of the slides was the tree plan, and interestingly, the ordinance established and required the advisory committee to make an annual report as well. So I just encourage the commission to definitely look into that. I'll be coming back here. I hope we can work with the commission and the department to make this thing work. But I did want to bring it to the commission's attention in the context of the annual report. Thanks very much for everything you guys do.
Thank you. Allison, I see your hand is up.
Yes, hi, good morning. A question, and it is about the annual report, is data about the commission itself, and perhaps that's in a separate document, but what the number of projects reviewed, number of comment letters submitted, things like that. Is that in the whole document or not?
Hi, Allison. I do apologize that was not on the slide, but there is a section at the end of the annual report, the full annual report with commission information.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Jen. Thank you, Allison. All right, so now moving on to the last item, which is one that I will lead about reporting back on the 2026 Community Preservation Act. Let me see if I can get my screen up. Can everybody see that? Okay, I got a thumbs up from Jean, so thank you. So last month, I think it was last month, the Parks Commission, you all voted to have me step in as the Parks Commission representative on the Community Preservation Committee. It was partially through the review period, but I was able to vote on all of the projects, and I just wanted to bring back to share the open space and recreation projects specifically to this group because I think they are the ones that are most of interest. If you have other questions about the other projects, the historic preservation projects and the affordable housing projects, I'm happy to answer those as well to the best of my ability. But so the Community Preservation Act, this is an excerpt of the open space projects from this year, from the February 11th agenda, where we voted on the projects to be forwarded to the mayor's office, that to then go to the city council. So there were 84 applications to the Community Preservation Committee, over $45 million in funding requested, and $32.8 million, $32.6 million awarded in projects. The breakdown was for each of the areas of interest, 50% of the $32.6 million went to affordable housing, and then the remaining 50% was split evenly between historic preservation and open space projects. So $8.15 million for each of those. Projects all across neighborhoods. This is for all of the projects: affordable housing, open space, and historic preservation. And then the next steps are going to be that the city, the Community Preservation Committee, the Community Preservation staffing will present that to the mayor, which will then present it to the city council for them to vote on, and then the money will become available in the next few months to each proponent. They are underway with conversations for FY27. So those the eligibility form for FY27 is available now. It is typically due at the end of August, right before Labor Day. All right, so there was just over $11 million in projects proposed to CPI for open space projects, and $8.15 million was recommended. So one project that I'm sure is to Commissioner Epperson is the Harbor Walk extension at the Little Mystic Channel in Charlestown. That project is adjacent to the Charlestown High School fields, which is a site that Boston Parks has care and custody of, and across the channel from Berry Playground, which is a Boston Parks owned site. So improving the open space all around this waterfront resource. The Chinatown Immigrant Heritage Center in Chinatown was awarded a grant for a small courtyard renovation. Up Academy Playground in Dorchester, which is a Boston Public Schools site. So playground renovation was recommended. This is the third in a sequence, I think this is third, of improvements to the schoolyard. Also, another BPS site is the Everett Elementary School in Dorchester. The Trina Prasad Community Park in Dorchester. This is a community-owned open space that was dedicated to Trina Prasad and is owned and cared for by the community. The Norwell Radcliffe Food Forest. This is a series of parcels in the Dorchester neighborhood that is going to be developed into a food forest with Boston Food Forest Coalition. McLean Playground in East Boston. This is a Boston Parks project. we are underway with or we're about to be underway as soon as the snow melts with a construction project on the surface, improving the ball field, adding a small play area, improving the paving here, which has some significant heaving from existing trees. So trying to level that out. And the CPA project funding will allow us to address some of the deteriorating walls at the perimeter of the site, which have these murals on them. And you can see some of the conditions of these walls. Mass Audubon Boston Nature Center in Mattapan is being recommended for a small grant. The Mission Hill Pathway Phase 2 in Mission Hill. This is a project that is an open space project that is adjacent to an affordable housing project and a community garden, which was funded in the previous round. This project is for the open space to the plan left of the site plan. And this is a parcel that will eventually come to Boston Parks, but will be maintained by the trustees of reservations. The Conley School Playground in Roslindale is recommended to receive some playground improvements. A small, kind of really neighborhood initiated project in Roslindale to create a pathway and some open space improvements in a little nook in Roslindale. Some improvements to the Trotter School playground in Roxbury. This is the next phase of playground improvements focusing on the kindergarten and early elementary school play area. Another Boston Park site, this is currently called the King Street play area on King Street and I think it is Roxbury Street, adjacent to Jeep Jones Playground in Roxbury in kind of the Nubian Square area. This is a site that the community has identified as a site for a memorial to those impacted by suicide. You may be seeing some additional information on this as the community desires to change the name. So this will be developed into a more robust open space and include a memorial to suicide, to those impacted by suicide. The Dudley Kenilworth Pocket Park, this is really converting right-of-way and roadway into open space and plaza space in the Roxbury neighborhood. The 48 Townsend Street, which is desired to be turned into a neighborhood urban wild, but really focusing on the immediate improvements of improving the wall, the retaining wall in this space as the first phase of work. Thoreau Path in the West End is a project that is continuing to improve the vegetation on this pathway in the West End, which is a neighborhood with very little open space right in the middle of it. So this is a list of all of the projects, both the historic preservation projects, affordable housing projects, and the open space and recreation projects. And that is the last slide. So if there are any questions from commissioner members.
No question, Kathy, but just well done. You didn't have a lot of time getting up to speed on those projects. I'm impressed. And then I'm very glad to see a number of truly public projects on that, namely the parks projects and the school department projects. It always makes me happy.
Yeah, and the BPDA projects as well.
Oh yeah, those are always nice as well, aren't they?
Yeah, those are great. Yeah. Is there a hand raised or is that a vestige?
I don't see a hand raised, but we should acknowledge that Councilor Weber's office is represented here today. And if there's any input to be shared, please feel free.
Thanks, everyone. I'm just here to listen and learn. And yeah, thank you.
Thank you. All right. If are there any community questions about the CPC? Not seeing any hands raised. All right. I think that concludes all the items on our agenda. So I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn?
Any seconds?
Seconded?
Thank you. And we don't have to vote to adjourn, right? Just we're just
Unanimous
adjourned.
consent.
Yeah, we have consensus. Great.
Time to shovel.
Yep. Be
Thank
safe,
you so
everybody.
much.
Stay warm.
Thank you. And Sue, if you need anything